Hey do-it-yourselfers, welcome to the fix. So as you may remember, in my previous video we diagnosed the crank no start condition on this 2003 F150 with a 4.2 liter V6 engine. So first we checked for spark, we found out that we do have spark. Then we checked for fuel pressure, we found out there is no fuel pressure. And then before condemning our fuel pump, we checked our fuel pump relay and the wiring that goes to the fuel pump relay. And we came to the conclusion that all of those are fine. So the next logical step was to kick the hell out of our fuel tank, and maybe our fuel pump will start so I can take this to the auction and ship it off. But even that didn't work. So today we're gonna try to swap out our fuel pump. Now if you need to replace your fuel pump on a sedan, there's a decent chance you might have an access panel underneath your rear seats or maybe even in your trunk, which should make your life a lot easier. However, if you're going to be doing this on a truck, you need to either remove your truck bed or drop your gas tank, and that's what I'm going to do today. All right, so first thing we're going to do is to raise and support the rear of this car on jack stand. And it goes without saying, make sure you choke off both the rear and the front of both your front wheels. All right, next we'll remove this hubcap and then remove this left rear wheel. There we go. All right, so next we're gonna come down here and we're gonna remove these two rubber hoses right here. One is for fuel fill line and the other one is for our vent line. And as you can see, the two rubber hoses are attached by these two clamps. All right, so first we'll loosen these clamps. And since we're lucky enough to live in California, we got no rust issues and these are coming out like a breeze. There's one. All right, now this bigger one is gonna have to wait until we loosen the fuel tank so that we have more space back there so I can pull on it better. All right, next we're gonna remove these four 12mm 12-point bolts that are attaching our drive shaft to our rear differential. There's one, there's number two, and of course, if I could fit my power tool in here, this would be a lot easier, but you're gonna have to do these two at a time. You're gonna have to remove these two, turn this around, remove the other two. All right, next we'll give this a couple of taps and this should come loose right on our camera. And next we're gonna get it out of the transmission side. So we just get our catchment underneath there just in case it starts leaking. Alrighty, next we need to find a way to secure or support this gas tank and then remove these two straps that are holding it in. And these two straps are held in by these two bolts on the inside of the gas tank, just around where the drive shaft used to be right here. Now lucky for me, this gas tank is pretty empty, and again that's because it was going to an auction. There's no point in putting gas in a car that's going to an auction, so we're gonna see if we can manage this by just my jack. Actually, first I'm gonna take this one strap off and then move this up to a more central location and then get this other one off. All right, so far so good. Now we're just gonna push this back a little bit so that now we can reach in there and hopefully yank out a spiller hose. All right, finally, this is about to come loose. Again, make sure your fuel tank is properly supported. All right, now we're gonna start slowly lowering this fuel tank. Yeah, hold on. Looks like we have improper weight distribution here, and it's only getting worse. Okay. All right, so I don't know how much of this I can show you guys, but next I'm going to remove this evap line that goes towards the rear of the tank, and then there's a fuel pressure sensor, I believe, a connector for it right there that I'm going to remove. There's that. All right guys, and we're back, and I think I got everything loosened, but I had to turn off the camera because, as you can see, things got kind of hectic. Watch the Houdini at work, guys. They don't teach you this stuff at mechanic school. Let's get this out of here. Yo, not here, goddammit. All right, now you can see better what needs to be removed. So you get an evap line that goes here. You get your fuel pressure sensor connector here. These two are for our fuel fill line, and this is our vent line. And on this side, this connector here is for our fuel pump and our fuel level sending unit. You got another evap line right in front of your fuel pump, and then you have your fuel in and fuel out lines that are connected here. And that's pretty much it. All right, now before we completely condemn our fuel pump and go ahead and replace it, one last check we need to do is to make sure we have both power and ground at our connector for our fuel pump. So here I have back probed the power and the ground wires on this connector, and I'm going to go inside the car and turn the ignition to the on position. And if this light comes on, we've confirmed that we have both power and ground. All right, so apparently I didn't get the light coming on camera, but trust me, it did come on. All right, now on to replacing our fuel pump assembly. So first step, you want to make sure you clean all around the fuel pump. My air compressor is broken, so I'm using one of these. Next, you grab a Sharpie and mark the relation of the fuel pump assembly to the fuel tank. Next, we're going to remove these 6 8mm bolts, and if you're going to use an electric impact gun, make sure it's a brushless impact gun so that there are no sparks, therefore you lessen the chance of catching your hair on fire. And with some gentle prying, this should come loose. There we go. And here's a close look at our fuel pump assembly. Here's our fuel pump, obviously. Here's your fuel level sending unit. Now you can either replace this whole unit or get a fuel pump with the fuel pump kit and just replace the fuel pump. And in my case, this saves me about 60 bucks, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right, this should go fairly easy. First thing we're gonna do is to remove this clamp. Next, we're gonna remove this clamp, which is held on by this bolt right here. Get this fuel pump out. Remove the hose and the fuel pump connector. There we go. Now lucky for us, in this kit we got our wiring harness adapter. We'll just slide this on here and onto the new fuel pump. Insert the hose over the fuel pump. Then realize the old hose is too short. Cut the hose from our kit down to size. Put that on. And then put 2 clamps that came with our kit on the hose, then the fuel pump. Then install the rubber sheet that came with our kit on the fuel pump, and then slide that in. Then reinstall the fuel pump clamp. Then it's very important, you want to install a new strainer. And ta-da, we saved 60 bucks. And of course, it's a good idea to use some zip ties to tie down these wires. Now, it's obviously a good idea to replace this gasket. However, this kit does not come with the right gasket. But since this rubber gasket is still in pretty good condition, it's not dry and still pliable, I'm just going to reuse it. So once again, make sure we don't bend anything. Push this down. We're going to line up our mark and then install our bolts and then tighten them down to the manufacturer's torque specification, which is about hand tight. All right, now it's time to reinstall our fuel tank. Now I'm not going to record the rest of this because it's just going to be pretty much the reversal of removal, but just know that I'm going to have a lot of fun. All right guys, it's finally in. Ended up using 2 jacks, one on each side, and then slowly pushed it up, and then with the help of the F-bomb was able to finally install it. So here's the moment of truth. It runs. As you probably heard, it's got a massive exhaust leak. So there, as you guys hopefully heard, our car runs now. We were able to fix our crank no start issue. So yeah, this should do it. Hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, do me a favor and share this video. Also check out these other related videos, of which I'll put links to on this side of the screen. There will also be links down below in the description box as well. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.